Hi everyone. Finally, we are into designing process architecture in our fourth session during business process management course. As you know, we have 10 sessions for this course. Now I want to talk about how to design process architecture. We want to introduce you a spatial methodology, a step by step. At the first, be familiar with concept of process architecture. Next, after we will review 13th step of for designing process architecture. This approach is created by myself based on my over 10 years experience around BPM and process architecture. As you know, I designing process architecture in more than 10 huge organizations just. And I'm an expert on many of framework and reference model around process architecture. I use this methodology for all of my clients. We are in the second step of established business process management, framing and identifying. This step consists of two stages: process architecture and process modeling. Now we are talking about the process architecture, and in the next session we will talk about process modeling and probably BPM. The first, we should know some definition. The first is here: who is process owner is important for us. When we are designing process architecture, we should determine who is process owner for each processes. And you should know each processes has just one process owner, just one, and exactly one, not zero, not two, just one process owner for each processes. And a process owner can be owner of some processes. Attention, each process one process owner, and this process owner can be owner of some processes. Who is process owner? We need to familiar with some feature and characteristics about the process owner. Process owner is a man who can help you to design processes. When you're talking about processes, who can talk about the whole of processes and whole step in processes, know about the task and activity that can be done by yourself or any other role, not just yourself. So they can talk about the processes as we talk about in our previous session about the interview method. Process owner is similar to business expert, is like SME. He can talk about the defining, can help you to defining process purpose. He know why this process should be worked. What's the result of this process? What's the input of process? What's the output of process? What's the task and activity in this process? Which is a stakeholder should be engaged in this process, and know about any rule that you need to consideration in your process designing. Process owner should monitor process performance by defining KPI. Can help you to define the KPI or some KPI as yourself, and just can say to you, and you should write it in your profile ID for the processes. And process owner is a person who one can monitor the performance of processes, measure the processes by KPI, and both we talk about the performance. We mean both aspects, efficiency and effectiveness. And process owner can planning and managing process improvement opportunity, who know about the problems, and at the same time you monitor the process, measure the KPI, so you can find or she can find some issue around the processes, some bottleneck, some problem, and probably they want to change the path of the processes or create some task or limit it or remove some task through the processes, so we can plan and manage the process optimization and can help you to find solution to removing the problem and issue through the processes. It's very important for us. And you should know the process owner and process manager are different. If you want to know about different of process owner and process manager, you can read my article in my LinkedIn page. What's the business process management? I talk about the business process management, but meticulously definition. I skip this slide. If you want to know about the definition of process manager, you can click on the link and watch this video and can come back here. Let me talk about a bit about the process architecture. Process architecture is indeed like a game map that guides you to victory or distinguishes you from others. Let me tell me here a story. Do you know Winchester Mansion is a story, is a good story for our course here. It is a story about a old man and old woman that live with each other actually, and after some days old man died, and one night the man came to his wife's dreams. He asked from his wife to develop the mansion and build a mansion, and actually develop the mansion. The woman morning wake up and try to draw a plan for the northern part of mansion, and after that build and develop the northern part of mansion. After 2 months, he drew another plan for example, southern part of mansion, and build and develop southern part of them. After 4 months, he drew another plan, another for another side of mansion. He continued this way for 38 years. He spent $5.5 million to developing this mansion. But question is here: what's the result of spending this time and money? What was the result result of this? He continued this way for 30 years, 38 years actually. But what's the result? As a result, he um, followed the nested corridor. That one corridor, that one corridor, that one corridor, that not clear where they ended, not clear where they ended. And when you go up a stair, you face with a wall, you face with a window, a massive corridor and a stair that lead to wall, lead to window, lead to nothing actually. Uh, so this mission not a special use. We can use not and very complicated. You know why? Because there isn't any configuration, special configuration. There isn't any map for whole of mission. We can use this mission as a even just as a museum. If we don't consider it to process architecture, seems exactly like this story. I want to read the sentence again. Process architecture is indeed like a game map that guides you to victory or distinguishes you from others. It's very important for us. Let's be familiar with process architecture a bit more. I want to add a sentence before this definition. When you want to buy a trial, what do you know? You need? You need a plan and map, yeah? And if you skip plan and map, just start to building a tower, what will happen? What will happen? Just think about it. When you want to establish business process management without process architecture, I mean, you skip this stage. It's the same when you want to build a tower without any map. Is it possible? What's the result? Process architecture help us to define an overview of whole of business processes, a set of business processes and organization, and illustrate the relationship. As you know, our organization include of many processes, or we work in context of processes. Anything we do almost is among the processes. Process architecture display us, illustrate us the configuration of processes of organization. And you should know process architecture is a framework for process orientation. So it's very important for us, if we have a big picture from our processes, also hierarchy of our processes, we can plan to establish business process planning. If not, we can't plan for established business process management. So now we know the process architecture is very, very important for us, and process architecture help us to create a big picture, an overview of anything that would happen in our organization. Because process architecture consists of, include of, set of business processes and the relationship. Two important aspects with process architecture design are create process structure. The first is here, create process structure. Establish the exchange model and process relationship. If you want to be a systematic company, or buy an ERP or any other solution or software, you need to know about your processes and the relationship and how they exchange data between them. You need to know about the data model. You need to create data model. For creating data model, you need to have a process architecture, because the relationship of processes can be effective on your data model. Also, help you hierarchy processes. As you have a hierarchy in your organization, in your functional organization, vice president, probably head of, etc., senior manager, and other roles. We had a hierarchy on processes, business area, process group, and process. So the first was create the process structure, and the second, define or modify rules. What, why, how? Help us to distinguish process boundary, where and when process start, where and when process end. Also establish a stable relationship and clear through the processes, each role what they should do, and what they should deliver to next one, and again the next one, what they should do and what they should deliver to next one. Everything is clear, and we know that about the tasks and duties for each roles, because the pattern, we design the process, the next step. Into the process architecture, and define the processes, process owner, process manager, can help us to create a bit clearly in our organization. Now, let's talk about the two main steps to designing process architecture, and after that we talk about by detail in 13 steps how we can design process architecture. Now we are in a flight and we want to see in top of process architecture, just talk about two general steps in process architecture. Process identification is the first step. By identification, we identify the processes and create process lists with hierarchy. Also, we should determine the relationship between the processes. As I said in previous session, for example, purchasing. When we talk about purchasing, we know the purchasing is related to other processes. We find the relationship. We know that we are a P2P purchase, P2P process, purchasing to pay purchase, and there are some process end-to-end processes here that are related to each other. The next step is identification. The result of identification is list of processes and hierarchy of processes. Also, we should determine relationship between the processes. The second is evaluation. Why and what evaluation? Evaluation leads to a screen through benchmarking and prioritizing processes. For example, we have 300 processes. You should choose some processes, 5, 10 processes among these 300 processes. For starting to continue the BPM life cycle, you can't manage all of them at the same time. You need very much resource. Also, the risks high. You should go continuously, but with some process at the first step, and again 5 processes, continuing your BPM life cycle. Also can help you lead to remove or create processes. When you evaluate the processes, you compare your process list and your process hierarchy with a benchmark. You find some process in your benchmark that you didn't create yet. Also, you align processes with strategy and enterprise architecture that lead to remove some processes because some processes don't support your strategic goal. So these processes probably it created 10 years ago, but nowadays are working. But you can remove because our goals was changed. Because our goals had been changed. You should remove the processes, or you have a goal that, but there isn't any process to support this goal. You need to create new processes. So, process architecture have 2 general steps: identification that lead to process list, process hierarchy, and process relationship, and evaluation that lead to remove or create process and prioritizing processes. Now, in the identification step, we face with some challenges that we should know about that. First is classification of processes. You should classify the process. You should categorize the processes. You should distinguish boundary of processes. You should distinguish position of process in hierarchy. When we're talking about, for example, classification, we are talking about the hierarchy of processes, how we should create business area, process group, and processes. And when we talk about the categorization of processes, we know that it's related to our reference model in 2 or 3 categories. For example, if you follow APQC, you should create 2 categories for operational level and supportive and managerial level. 2 categories that help you to find your value chain and your core processes. What about the boundary of processes? There are, I guess, 8 instructions can help you to find boundary. But just attention, you should know where process start and where should be finished. It's very important. The process can be small or very long. It's related to your purpose of established business process management and your size of organization and how much your organization is complex in some other parameters. But the best way is here. You decom you actually decomposition the processes to a simplest level. You should streaming the processes. If the processes be simple, it's better than be complex. Sure, you should divide a line or huge and complex processes into some different processes that are related to each other. Also, the position of process is important because it helps you to find the supportive processes, managerial processes, or corporate processes. I will talk about the categorization of processes. Now let's dive in to our methodology to designing process architecture. First step is here. Review the organization document. It's very important for us to know about the whole of organization. If we are a consultant or if we are a employee in our company, we should review most of documentation of organization. Which document? You should review the strategy of organization, enterprise of organization, master list, MIS, procedure, and working instrument. It helps you to know what will happen around this organization and create a very good overview or create a very good landscape for you to distinguish the scope of your process architecture. The next step is evaluate the reference model. Which reference model do you want to use? ITIL, APQC, SAP framework, SAP framework, SCORE, ETAM. Which framework is suitable for you? Not best. Don't think about the best. Just think about the suitable framework for your organization. Probably you should combine. For example, you should use ITIL for your IT business area and use APQC for other business areas, or a score for your supply chain, and combine with other reference model. I guess we have a 5 approach to finding our reference model. The third is establish committees. We need 2 committees, a steering committee and executive committee. A steering committee includes of CEO and vice president or senior manager, just this level. Can you understand? Can you remember in our previous review when we are talking about interview and or who should be the first one? We are talking about the process architecture, yes, business area, senior manager, and process SME. Yeah, can you remember? If we want to find our business area, we need to use help of a steering committee. If we want to find process name, find processes, or we need to use help of executive committee. The next step is you should hold a seminar for your steering committee. This seminar is about process management for a manager, for example, the name of this seminar. This seminar, at the first, you are talking about the problem of organization, and you should be deeper in problem and display this problem to your audience. After that, you should talk about the solution. After that, you talk about that this solution is business process management, and talk about the business area, and at the last, just talk about BPM roadmap in a short time. Because your senior manager, actually steering committee, are very busy and don't like to spend your time in a seminar. Your seminar can be held in 2 or 3 hours, just not bigger, not much more, not more. 5. Identify business area. At the last of your previous seminar, you can talk about, because you explain business area to your audience, you can talk about the business area for each functional unit in your organization and ask from your steering committee to explain about their duty, their work. We will talk about in higher level and uh, help you to find business area. Also, you know that you choose the reference model before that. The reference model can help you to uh, classify your business area. Now you are a zero version of your business area in this stage. Let's continue. Now you should hold a process management training course for the executive committee. This course is different and can be, and it's around 4 hours at least. In this course, at the first, you are talking about the beneficial of BPM for them. You should try, you should try between their personal goal, organizational goal. Actually, when I'm talking about organizational goal, I'm talking about the deliverable of BPM. Then next, you will talk about BPM roadmap, and then next, you should focus on process definition and talk about many example name of processes and how the process work, what is input, what is output, what's the activity between output, what's the rule. You should explain exactly process, very important. You should meticulously create definition for processes. After that, you should continue this training course and hold a workshop. In this workshop, you should give them a form. In this form consists of some columns. The first column is name of process, second improve, third explain your activity, and the last output. They should write, especially in the last three columns, they should write which document or information or resource they will receive, what they will do on this document or information, and what will deliver to next one, and who is the next one, and what deliver. Consider, we are talking about input, output, activity monitor. This information can help us to find processes. Now you are finding processes. In the previous step, in the 5, you find business area. Now you are finding processes. But you should consider it. You need to be deeper, a bit deeper. So you need to hold a meeting with them. But before that, you should create a draft. You should create a draft preparation. You have a business area, you have a process. You should know about the position of each process and create a group for relative processes, and find the position of process and process group among your business area. Now you should hold meeting with the executive committee, but one by one now. Separate meeting, special meeting, private meeting, one by one. I mean one by one. I'm a process, unless I'm designing a process architecture and process architecture. I want to hold a meeting with each member of executive committee privately. At the last of at the last of each meeting, you should talk about the name of process that he or she are owner of this process, and give them and say to them that they have every time to get feedback to you. If not, it means confirm. It means they confirm that they are the owner of this process, and there isn't any process they are all owner. Also, you should consideration every business expert is an owner or participant. I'm an owner of some processes. Also, I'm doing some activity that I'm not owner of these processes. Just I'm participate to processes that had another owner. Because in process, several laws and some rules um, should be engaged, but one of them can be owner, other are just participate. It's very important here to find. Look attention to our definition about who is process owner. We talk about at the first of this session. After that, you can create version 0 of process architecture because you are deeper. You have the draft. You have had a draft. Now you hold private meeting by each member of committee and give the feedback and review your draft version. Now you can create say version 0 of process architecture. But what about steering committee? Just one session, that's all? No. Now, at the first, you should distribute the version 0 of your process architecture to whole of organization. One point. In previous step, we talk about by each member of committee in a private meeting. Now, all of them can see all of processes in organization, can think about the relationship of your processes with other processes, can compare of your processes with other processes, and help you to be very precise about the process list. After that, you're receiving feedback. Now, you can create the first version of your process architecture. You have a confirmation of whole of your organization as a steering committee. Executive committee confirm and get feedback to you in two separate after private meeting and after distribution organization. And now the steering committee can give feedback to you and you can finalize your process architecture in current situation. Congratulations, you design your process architecture by 13 steps. The next step, you should prioritizing the processes and modeling the processes. But one important point, during the modeling phase, due to understanding the detail of each process, the process architecture may change slightly. Not important and don't worry about that. For example, a process may be divided into or more processes, or conversely, two processes may be merged into one because now you are deeper and now you know about the detail of your processes. Can be create change between 10 or at most 50%, not more, in your process architecture. Now, if you want to know how you can design your process, model your process, Just I will talk about that. At the first, you should consider that you should do a step by step in our methodology of process architecture. You should be very sensitive and very precise and exactly doing anything I'm talking about that. In next session, I will explain you about the BPMN and BPMN can help you design process architecture. Also, I will talk about why BPMN can be the best standard or methodology for designing process and can help after display process to our stakeholder or SME and process owner. Bye.